Hello everyone and welcome. Make a cup of your favorite drink and get comfortable because this is a wonderful time for news stories from Yellow Cat. Send your own stories in the comments below and maybe they'll be in our new video. Lawyers of Reddit. What is the most outrageous case someone has asked you to take? Part 2. Lawyer in a small town here. I mostly do estate planning, probate, old people stuff, etc. I have a client that sued his ex-wife for not selling the house after the divorce as she was supposed to. Judge held her in contempt and asked what he wanted my client to do, and he had her thrown in jail. They are both nearly 80 years old. The client also has something valuable buried on his property for his grandchildren after he dies. I have a sealed letter in my desk that he pays me a goodly sum each month to hold and give to his grandson when the old man dies. I worked legal aid for a while. Every day was outrageous and goes something like this, but I have a restraining order on my first ever client. The very first person I ever spoke to in a legal capacity was a woman who wanted to sue her contractor for $250,000 for an unfinished job and emotional distress. First, being upset at an incomplete job isn't emotional distress. Second, the contract was only for about $100,000, and upon further questioning, I learned that this contractor had actually completed all terms of the contract. This woman eventually admitted she was suing him because he was rude and always late. I informed her that we would not take this case. Additionally, I warned her that a failure to pay the contract would most likely result in the contractor suing her. She found this idea ludicrous and began to yell at me in my office, first person on my first day, about how she had a right as an American that I act as her lawyer. So I handle that. We are not helping her in this case. 2 days later, I get a call from the contractor's attorney stating that this woman has cited me as her attorney and threatened a hailstorm of suits upon the contractor from me. It took all of 5 minutes for the other attorney to realize what was going on. Heck, they even made sure to remind me of the steps I should take to protect myself from any related suits this lady might bring upon me. Actually, I still talk to this attorney, so silver lining on the first day, I suppose. About a month or two passes, foggy on time frame. Woman comes in again furious because the contractor sued her and was able to get a lien on the property. She said this was my fault because I didn't help her. I managed to talk her down. She then immediately gets fired up again because they are trying to scam her into giving them all her documents. Turns out, trial on the matter was coming up in about a week, and they had requested photographs of allegedly unfinished work, damages, etc., as well as the original contract and payment receipts. Basically, all stuff very, very typical and reasonable to request, and that she is obligated to provide. She, and nearly every client I worked with in this capacity, thought that evidence was supposed to be a surprise at trial and that sharing this information would hurt her case. No S, it would hurt her case because she is a liar. Anyways, again, not her lawyer. Actually made her sign a paper signifying she understands this. She leaves. Months pass, I'm no longer at legal aid. Lady finds me at my school. I get a call from the effing dean asking me to swing by. Says he just met with a disgruntled client of mine who says I cost her her home, marriage, and children. Apparently things went downhill fast. She claimed she would do everything in her power to make sure I never did anything again. Anyways, Dean is a nice guy and helped me with my restraining order paperwork. Either that, or the time somebody wanted to sue their ex's infant for lost sleep. I actually laughed because I thought they were joking. They weren't. Criminal prosecutor here. A patrol officer pulled over a driver for some traffic violation, I think failure to signal. After a heated roadside exchange where the driver initially refused to turn over her license, she ultimately relented and thrust the license with undue force into the officer's outstretched hand. The cop charged her with aggravated assault on a law enforcement officer. When asked to justify his actions, he stated that people need to learn to respect the police. We dismissed the charge, apologized to the defendant, and told the cop to never bring us something like that again. I can't recall if Internal Affairs was notified. I work with the police every day, and the majority of them are good people. This guy was an S. I work in patent law, and most of my cases are pretty mundane. Small variations on items that you use every day with enough innovation to warrant trying to profit off of it. Sometimes you get one that's actually innovative, which are the fun cases. But occasionally you get the client that's just a complete wacko. This guy, let's call him Vlad, strides into my office and lets me know he has a spectacular invention that he wants to show me, but that I must keep it secret. Vlad is a heavyset Russian, the kind you'd expect to see in a gangster movie with a thick accent to match. I explained that I would be happy to sign an NDA and that confidentiality will be assured. Once he was appeased that his mysterious invention wouldn't be on the front page of the Times tomorrow, he asked me to come out to his office so he could show me. Now, I was a little nervous given his physique and the secrecy with which he was handling all of this, so I asked one of our clerks to accompany me. I drove the three of us to his office in complete silence. Any small talk I tried to make was stonewalled. Finally, we get to his office building, which thankfully looked to be a legit workspace and not a back alley warehouse as I'd originally feared. He took us to a side office once we got to his floor and pulled me aside. "This will be my greatest achievement," he whispered before opening the door with a flourish. In the room, there was nothing but a single bright red word painted on the wall. "What is this?" I asked him. He stood directly over me and gazed directly into my eyes, breathing. "I call it the serious tag. OP forgot to put one." During law school, I was a member of a legal clinic. We represented low-income individuals under the supervision of a licensed attorney/professor. We handled family law issues, but would try to point clients in the right direction if we could not personally help them. One man came in and stated that he wanted to sue Best Buy, which is not uncommon, but why he wanted to sue Best Buy was different. See, this man said he purchased a refurbished computer from Best Buy for his daughter as an Xmas present. Best Buy had neglected to remove the previous owner's password screen, and thus, this man and his daughter were unable to access the computer until they took it back to Best Buy, which was understandably closed on Xmas Day. This, he said, caused his 12-year-old daughter to begin to question the very existence of Santa Claus. He and his daughter then argued the rest of the day until finally he admitted to her that there was, spoiler alert, no Santa Claus. His words were, "Seeing your daughter lose faith in Santa ruined all Xmas's to come." He also claimed that his daughter was a real bee since she had stopped believing in Santa Claus. What was more interesting is the amount of damages he requested. He stated he believed that Best Buy owed him at least $25 million because Xmas was ruined, his daughter will never believe in Santa again, and now he has to deal with her being a real bee now. I did not believe he had any type of recourse against Best Buy for inadvertently demolishing his daughter's belief in Santa, but even if I did, our client could not help him. I informed him that we only handled family law issues and he should call the local bar association's lawyer referral service. He stated that the bar association already told him they would not take his case. Then he proceeded to ask if I had children. I told him I did not. Then he proceeded to wish that all my future kids have their belief in Santa Claus ruined. He stated he would not help me if that happened. He then told me to F off and left. The whole time, I was wondering how this guy's daughter believed in Santa Claus till age 12. When I was a trainee solicitor, my principal had a guy come in who spoke almost exclusively in quotes from US presidents. This was a specialist law firm in a very English town, and the dude was about as English as it's possible to be. Tweed suit with leather elbow patches English. He wasn't initially anything to do with me, but half an hour into the initial meeting, my principal wandered into my office totally exasperated, which I'd never seen before, and she said, paraphrasing here, "Croeggs, you're a patient man. Find out what this bat-ass loon actually wants. It'll be a good first case evaluation for you to handle by yourself." I spent 2 hours listening to him talk. Literally every second sentence began with, "As Woodrow Wilson once said," or "As Grover Cleveland once said." He even managed to quote Taft. I mean, even the craziest of crazy doesn't quote Taft. It's Taft, for Christ's sake. Anyway, after 2 hours, I explained how much the meeting was costing him, even though I was just a trainee, and he visibly sagged and said, all blurted out like a naughty child, "I poured bleach on the root of my neighbor's tree and it fell into my greenhouse. Can you make him pay for the repairs?" I gently explained why that wouldn't work, and he cried, so I called the loveliest secretary in the firm, who made him a cup of tea and sat with him until he went home. I got a call from a client I had represented in the past wanting me to help out her son. He and his girlfriend wanted to get married, but she was under 18, so she needed permission from her parents, and they wouldn't give permission. We chatted about it for a while, and then she told me it was an urgent matter because the girl was pregnant. I said, "Wait, how old did you say she was?" Mom said, 14. I said, "And how old is your son?" Mom said, 20. I said, "You need to immediately hire a criminal defense lawyer to help you with this." And then I had to explain to her why her son had a bigger problem than not being able to get married. This was in the southern US. In this situation, there was an extremely high chance that the son could be charged with statutory R and child M. I didn't look up the laws, so I don't know if her being pregnant would have allowed them to get married without consent. Even if they did get married, he could still be charged. They never called me back, so I don't know for sure what happened, but I knew the family, and I don't think I ever saw the son's name pop up on any court documents, so I guess it all worked out in the end, and nobody made a fuss about him knocking up a 14-year-old. Not a lawyer yet. I'm in my last semester of law school and about to take my last ever law school final today. As a law student, you have the option of doing a lot of low-level pro bono work. I was at a family court as part of a project to help abused women get restraining orders against their abusers. To look lawyerly, all of us law students dressed up in suits. Family court tends to be filled with pro se fillers, people representing themselves, so anyone dressed in a suit starts attracting all of the people who don't want to deal with the issues themselves since, hey, they look like a lawyer. This one gentleman came up to me and my partner, another law student, asking us if we could help him file a restraining order against his girlfriend because she wrote on her Facebook wall that he had a small p, which he assured us wasn't true. He also wanted to get a restraining order against a different ex-girlfriend because she took some of his clothes and things when they broke up and he wanted them back. He also wanted to get a restraining order against his brother for beating him up when he was a kid. He was in his 30s. If you want to watch the part 1, click the link here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing, the likes, and the comments. See you in the next video.